Hey folks, Justin from Tackle Tactics in the shed, gearing up for a session, but I thought before we get out on the water in the morning, what I might do is talk you through the plan and the gear. So I'm a big believer that a lot of success you have on the water is based on what you do off the water in terms of gearing up, but also in terms of looking at the weather and how that's going to affect where you're fishing and what you're doing. So tomorrow morning we're going to hit the water and we're going to be fishing a high tide running out. It's not a big high, but a high on the flats running out. And we're going to be fishing the ZMan prawns. So I love these guys, they're beautiful. I haven't had a lot of opportunity to fish them, so I'm really keen to get out and have another crack with them. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be fishing them top water and also subsurface. So my reasoning is the weather forecast for the morning. Once we get out there, it's going to be good for 10 minutes and then it's going to be blowing, and it's blowing west-northwest. And as the day goes on, it's moving around to northerly and it's going to blow up pretty horrible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that wind to my advantage. So the big flat that I'm going to be out on, I'm going to use that west-northwest and northerly as it swings around to push me along the flats in the kayak, so I can cover a lot of water. I can throw a long cast with these lightly weighted plastics to fish them on the top. And hopefully that bit of disturbance on the flat also encourages the fish to come up and feed, rather than if it was dead flat glass, they might spook a lot more when I'm up on the flats chasing them. So basically that's what we're going to do. So first off, I'll show you each of these presentations close up so you can have a good look at them. So firstly, I'm going to kick things off by fishing the ZMan 2.5 inch prawns twitched across the surface. So I've got that rigged on a hidden weight system jighead. Unfortunately, I didn't have any 1/28, so I've gone a 1/20th hidden weight system jighead in a number 1 hook. And I've taken the time, take your time to rig those nice and straight, and try and get them fairly straight on the plane as well, because I think they'll twitch better across the top. If you've got them sort of kicking down, I think they'll want to tip, whereas if they're pretty level, they'll twitch good on the surface. So basically I'll be throwing long casts, rod tip up, and I'll be twitching and winding, and I'll be getting that plastic moving across the surface and encouraging bream, whiting, flathead, tailor, trevally, whatever wants to eat that surface fished ZMan 2.5 inch prawns. I like to fish the surface stuff in about half a metre of water through to about sort of 0.8. Once it gets to that sort of depth, I think there's probably more fish holding deeper, so they may not see your presentation, especially if it's windy and that sort of thing. And that's when I'll change it up and I'll bomb the bottom a bit more. So I'm going from top water to a 1/8 1/0 to get it down a little bit deeper and fish it a bit quicker, and that as the water gets slightly deeper. And then as I drop off the edges, I'll have a rod rigged with that 1/4 ounce 1/0 in that Demons, TT Demons, with prawns on that as well. So we're going to fish all prawns. So it's 1/20th 1 hidden weight system with a prawn. It's 1/8 1/0 HeadlockZ Finesse, and it's 1/4 1/0 in a TT Demons. So I've got those 3 options for as the water level gets deeper. The trick with throwing this little guy, this prawns on almost no weight to fish it on the top, is that I need a light spin combo to do that. So with the 2 lighter presentations, I'm going to be fishing a 2-piece TT red belly, 1 to 3 kilo, with a 1000 Ceymar HD, and on there I've got 6-pound pulse braid in white, and I'm going to have a 10-pound leader as well. As you know, if you've watched videos before, I always fish a 10-pound leader in my local area because there's a chance of a flatty, so I stick with that 10-pound. So that 1 to 3 kilo 1000 combo for the 2 lighter presentations, and that heavier presentation I'm going to rig on a 2 to 4 kilo with a 2500 size Ceymar HD 8-pound braid, 10-pound leader, and that should allow me to get plenty of long casts in. Another key thing, I'm going to be scenting them as I always do with ProCure. So ProCure Super Gel, I'll go saltwater Yabby nipper because it matches a prawn, but I'm really loving the Sardine Pilchard at the moment. So even though it's not a bait fish or a sardine or a pilchard, I'm going to probably mix up between those two depending on what I feel on the day and if one's getting more bites than another. So that's a key thing there. We're going to scent it up, we're going to fish light, and we're going to fish those 3 different presentations. I'll have all 3 rigged so that as I drift across different water depths, I can go from top water to shallows to deeper drop-offs. And also just in case, because I've never fished them on the top before, so I don't know if I'm going to get any action or whatever, but fingers crossed, there's been quite a bit of jelly prawn activity on the flats, so should be able to get a few bream, maybe a whiting on top water, maybe even a flatty, come up and eat that guy there. But as we get into the deeper stuff, we'll drop to those. So enough of me waffling. I've got some rods to rig. Stick with me. Let's hit the water. Cheers. All right, folks, absolute stunner morning this morning. It's going to blow up to a howling northerly, they reckon, this afternoon. So this morning, just going to make the most of the beautiful weather. See if we can find ourselves a few fish. I've been hanging out to fish with the 2.5 inch prawns again. So that's my plan today. I'm going to fish the 2.5 inch prawns on a few different jig heads in a few different areas, and we'll see if we can find ourselves some fish. I've got the prawn, the 2.5 inch prawns rigged on a hidden weight system, 1/20th number 1, and I'm just twitching it across the surface because the water's covering the flats here. So we're going to see if we can get a... Oh, there's fish behind it, but I think they're quite small. Oh, yep, there we go. There's a fish on. How good's that? That's pretty cool. Not a big bream, but that's awesome fun. He was all over it. And that's on that. Prawns fished on the top. That's cool. So that's on a 1/20th ounce hidden weight system. I've gone the Laguna shrimp colour, beautiful clear colour in this nice clean water over the flats. Twitching that across the surface, and he's just drilled it. What I did then, if he was short hitting and that sort of thing, I just dropped it down and let him have a chew on it, and it feels nice and real. So he just kept chewing and ate it. So that was cool. I really wanted to experiment with this, getting this thing on the top, and that's brilliant. Another way you could fish it, I reckon, is on a number 2 Chinlock's Finesse. Fish it on a weedless hook on the top as well. But that was brilliant. Fish straight up. Because the prawns, his face is a little bit flat, and I just think he pushes a nice bit of water, and he's got those legs as well, so it's creating a lot of disturbance on the top, and it also looks like a prawn, so it's got to be a winner fished on the top. That was cool. First up, straight away, a bream on the top. So many stingrays up on this bank, which is a good sign. Stingrays will often be up feeding where there's plenty of food. There's something chasing some little prawns there. They'll often be up on the banks where there's plenty of food. They'll also stir up the bottom, which attracts fish up onto the flat to feed as well. So the whiting and bream will sometimes follow them up onto the flats. Retrieve wise, I'm just using a slow wind and a twitch of the rod tip, just so that I can see that prawn kicking and moving on the top. And then if I get a couple of hits on it and doesn't take it, I'll just drop it back to them a bit. The trick is, I think you definitely want to make sure it's breaking the surface, so it's creating that clear disturbance that they can see on the top. So what I'm doing here, I'm using the wind to throw a long cast, but I'm also using the wind, the slight breeze that's there, to help create drag in the line and lift the plastic to the surface. And that way I can actually work it slower while still getting it up on the top, because the wind's helping to create drag and push the line up as well. Sometimes that can be a nightmare when we're fishing, but try and use the wind to your advantage where you can. Oh, yep, fish on. Yeah, beautiful. That fish just reeled it off the top. What are you, buddy? That was a great take off the top. Angry. Hollywood drag. Alright, what are you? Brimbo. Another brimbo off the top on the prawn. Good fun, good fun. That's another nice bream. There you go, that's pretty cool. Just twitching that prawn across the top. Laguna shrimp colour in the prawn on a 1/20th number 1 hidden weight system. 128 I reckon will be the bomb, but we've got 120th in there. But there you go, not a giant bream, but cool fun off the top. He's on the little tacker, about 28 tipper. Good fun. Let's see if we can get another E. Alright, that's that hidden weight system rigged prawn. So the 2.5 inch prawns. And I've tried to rig it pretty straight on there so that it kicks nice across the surface. A little bit of sauce on there. Bit of Procure Super Gel to keep them hanging on. We'll try that again. So basically all I'm doing is using the wind to throw a long cast with that little amount of weight, and then I'm just twitching it back on the surface. And I'm just messing around with how aggressive I use the rod and the speed that I retrieve the line at, just to try and get the combination right to get the bite. So looks very cool, looks like a prawn twitching it across the surface. And so far a couple of brimbos. Again, we're just going to keep spraying our casts around, out the sides a little and out the front as we drift down with the current, using that wind to get our cast out there. I'm just keeping the rod almost straight up in the air to give me that elevation to lift that plastic as I retrieve it. So throwing it out there, I'm getting the rod virtually straight up in the air, and I'm just twitching that tip while I'm winding that reel. And it's important, I wasn't watching then, but it's important to keep a bit of an eye on what's going on out where you can see the plastic moving on the surface. And that way, if you get a couple of blow-ups sort of behind it and they're not taking it, you can always drop the rod tip back and let them eat it, especially with a soft plastic, because you've got that versatility of being able to fish anywhere in the water column. So if you get a couple of blow-ups behind it or some interest behind it but it's not eating it, yeah, you can just slow it down, drop it back to them, give it a couple of twitches and see if they'll eat it subsurface. You've twitched it across the top to get their attention, and drop it back to get the eat. Oh, there's a touch. Come on, got to keep watching it and pay attention. Couple of touches. Oh, that wind's nasty. Yep, there we go, there's a fish up on the flats there. That was cool. Only another brimbo, but good fun up on the flats here. They're scoffing that okay. You can see he's drilled that. Pinned him in the lip. Oh, he might have a few mates up here too, I think. One thing with this wind is the wind will help stir them up a bit. Only little fellas, so he's about 27 tipper, so only small fellas, but great fun up on the flat, especially trying something I haven't tried before, just flicking those prawns around. As ugly as this wind is, it'll stir this flat up and the fish won't hesitate to feed on top of this, eating these little prawns off the top. The only downside is if it gets too crazy, the fish might not be able to see it as easily. I'm finding they're really liking just a short, aggressive shake. So it doesn't move it. So I'm winding at the same time. It doesn't move it too far at a time, so it gives them time to eat it. So just a real short jab of the rod tip to get the plastic twitching on the top, and then just winding slowly to keep it on the surface. Oh, fish behind it there, spooked at the last second. Yep, there we go. Oh, twitching on top, drilled. What are you? Got a little bit of go. Another brimbo. Those brim are loving eating these prawns off the top. Haven't cracked any big fellas, but I've caught a handful of brim, which has been great. Oh, there you go, buddy. Let's see if we can get ourselves a big one. Oh, bream right behind it. Yeah, that's a rattle. Some small bream here. Let's hope they get bigger. Yep, there we go. He finally ate it. He's only a little tacker. He got it into him. Let's go. There's a few bream on this edge. Only a little fella. Had no problem eating that prawn on the top. We are howling down the bank here with the wind, so it'll be a quick drift and then we'll get out of here. Yep, he's on it, he's on it. Ooh, I felt a bit bigger then. Oh, eat it, buddy. Yep, we got enough of them. Oh, another little tiny fella. Another little tiny fella. But if there's any question if you think they think that's a prawn, have a look at that. That guy has just scoffed that whole thing. So he's only a little fella. But man, didn't he smash it. You guys that are fishing, you know, some flats and stuff for big brimbos, this top prawn fished on the top is going to be a ripper. See you, buddy. Brilliant. Alright, so we dropped into a little bit deeper water off the edge of the flat there. So I switched it up to the 1/8. 1/8 10, TT headlock's Finesse, another brimbo on the flats. So it's a bit going on. There's a few bream on this flat. We might just keep drifting it for a little bit more. Not giants again, that one's a 29 tipper. Deeper again here, 0.8 of a metre. Sand. Oh, what are you? Drilled it right at the yank. That's a flatfish. Nice flatty. That is a good fish. Wow, he clunked that. Oh, he clunked that right at the yak. On the light gear. 3 kilo. Come on, buddy. Where are you going? You know, crazy conditions. It's a horrible wind, but you know what could I be doing sitting at home on the couch? So might as well be out here having a go. And this is a beautiful big flatty across the sand there. He doesn't want to come in either. That's a quality flathead. Oh, giving me some grief. Little 1000 Ceymar HD is singing. It's using the wind to its advantage. It is singing. 1000 Ceymar HD, 1 to 3 kilo TT rods, red belly. 8 pound, no, 6 pound pulse, X8 white. 10 pound hard Armour Supple leader. Sorry about the wind. Here she comes. I don't think she's going to come in yet. Get that net ready. Wow, she's got some power. That's a beautiful flatty. Come on, you good thing. Oh, it just gave me a face full of water. In the net, you beauty. Oh, out of the net. You beauty. Probably bite me off now. Oh, this is some wild conditions with this wind. Yeah, that leader's got to be close to goal. I'm glad it's... Oh, leader. Come on. In the net this time. In the net. That is a beautiful fish. That is a beautiful fish off the sand. Really nice colour. What a magic fish. There you go, we drifted up, got into a little bit deeper stuff, so I threw that 1/8 Jighead on that 2.5 inch ZMan prawns. Come on the grips, you beauty. Oh, have a look at that thing, that is a magic fish. Check out the pale colour from on the sand there. Still a dusky, still got that black spot on the tail, but a beautiful coloured fish. I'll see, make sure we didn't get too wet on the camera so I can give you a good look at her. There we go, what a great way to finish that, what was a topwater plastic session on the flats, changed it up to that 1/8 at the end, and scored this beautiful sandy coloured fish. Oh, how was that, guys? Sorry about that mayhem in the wind. That was just a beautiful fish. That leader's chewed, but it's still holding together. That's that hard Armour 10-pound Supple, so super stoked that I had that 10-pound leader on there when I needed it. Brilliant fish. Loving that little prawn, just scoffed it.